Now we have a different point of view with Ken Krawchuk. He is the former chair of the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party. He's a two-time Libertarian candidate for governor of Pennsylvania, and he's a distinguished Toastmaster. So we have two very good speakers up here, not me included. He's also the Libertarian representative to the Pennsylvania Ballot Access Coalition, a group of third parties and individuals committed to ballot access reform in Pennsylvania. His talk tonight will focus on the Pennsylvania election laws, what problems they present, and how we can correct them. Ken Krawchuk.
First off, I'd like to thank the York 9 and 12 patrons for inviting me here. It feels great to be here. Who else is feeling great tonight? Show of hands. All right. You know, I'm going to have to apologize to you because I'm going to have to say some pretty horrendous things about the state of ballot access here in Pennsylvania. Now, how many of you here came tonight not feeling so good about the state of government in Pennsylvania? Well, let me apologize to you too because I'm going to feed some of your fears. Now, when my wife and I were raising our kids, we taught them that an apology is not just a meaningless word. You don't just say, oh, I apologize, and move on. No, no. There has to be a commitment that says, I'm going to change my behavior and make things better. So even though I'm going to maybe ruin a few days here and maybe add to some of your fears, I will make good on my apology before I'm done speaking here tonight. It's bad. It's bad in Pennsylvania when it comes to ballot access. Well, when you say good and bad, that implies a standard. And the standard that I'd like to start with is that ultimate standard here in Pennsylvania, our Constitution. Now, with a group like this, I've got to ask this question. How many of you have read this? I love it. You know, I'll go to a school and ask that question, and not a hand will go up. And I'll say, is this like the one? Who read the Constitution? They don't teach it. They run the schools lock, stock, and barrel, but they don't teach Pennsylvania's highest law. Let's start with just one part out of Article 1, the Declaration of Rights, Section 5. All elections shall be free and equal. It sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? The last thing the election laws are in Pennsylvania right now are equal. In 2002, when I ran for governor of Pennsylvania, I ran against Ed Rendell, the Democrat, and Mike Fisher, the Republican. They needed 2,000 signatures to get their name on the statewide ballot. Do you know how many I needed?
30,000.
21,028. Why? Because they said so. Some judge back in the 80s, legislating from the bench, decided, oh, I think that they should get, now wait a minute, I got to read this because this is pretty funny. This is the definition. This is how many signatures we need. A minimum number of valid signatures equal to 2% of the number of votes received by any candidate for any office in the preceding November election within that electoral district. Got it? What it comes down to is that it's based upon who gets the most votes in the prior election. That means it changes from election to election. I had to get 21,000. Last year, to get on the 2010 ballot, it was 19,000. When my party tried to nominate me in 2006 for U.S. Senate, the number that year was 67,000 signatures. Compared to 2,000. Now let me put that number in perspective. Let's say that I have a ruler here I borrowed from my kids. 1 foot. Let's call that 2,000 signatures. Let me ask for some help. Let me call for my lovely assistant in the audience. Guy, come on up. This is 2,000 signatures. Back in 2002, I needed 21,000. Guy, you want to walk out there and reel me out 21,000 signatures? That's about 11 feet. Ed Rendell and Mike Fisher? Me. But to survive a challenge, it's always best to get a cushion, extra signatures in case some are ruled invalid. I collected 33,400 signatures. Guy, do me a favor, run me out there 33,000 signatures. What's that? It's about 17 feet, if I got my numbers correct. Let me get them in front of me here.
Yes.
It's hard to tell.
Yes.
In 2006, the number was 67,000 signatures. Run them out. This is 67,000 signatures as compared to the two old parties who needed 2,000. But remember, we need the cushion so we don't get challenged. So for that, you need about 100,000 signatures. Guy, somebody open the door for Guy? He's heading way out of the room. Look at that. He's still going. Slow down, Guy. We're going to lose you. We got some help in the middle here. There you go. That is how many signatures that I would need to collect if I was going to run for U.S. Senate in 2006. This is what they need. Is that equal? No. All right, Guy, please do me a favor and reel in those signatures. There is a law. I'll be polite. There was a woman judge, a lady judge, who legislated from the bench and said, that's what the number is going to be. Bad. Very bad. A friend of mine from the Pennsylvania Ballot Access Coalition, John Murphy, says that there's two ways to destroy democracy. One is to prevent people from voting, and the other is to prevent worthy candidates from running for office. Guess which one they're doing here in Pennsylvania? I'm waiting for somebody to say both. Certainly they're preventing good candidates from running for office. There are horror stories that abound. I ran in 2002 and I was not challenged. 2004, Ralph Nader ran for president here in Pennsylvania, and the Democrats came up with an entirely new playbook when it came to ballot access laws. And the judges supported this. They took the petitions and they got nitpicky about it. If you signed where you should have printed and printed where you should have signed, you got it flipped around, whoop, invalid signature. They call that fraud. If somebody used ditto marks, husband and wife signed, same address, use ditto marks, whoop, don't know what the address is, throw it out. If your name is William Smith and you signed it Bill Smith, whoop, it's not really William Smith, throw it out. If the husband would fill out the address for the wife, just being polite, whoop, wife didn't fill it out, throw it out. They took Ralph Nader's 51,000 signatures and they knocked him down below the statutory minimum. And they threw him off the ballot. It didn't end there. What they did, something brand new. They said, Your Honor, this guy, he got on the ballot with flipped names, with ditto marks and everything. He was trying. We think there was an allegation of fraud here. We want costs. They fined Ralph Nader $80,000 and threw him off the ballot. Now, I ran in 2002. This is in 2004. People say, Ken, you're going to run again in 2006. Well, geez, I don't know. $80,000 fine. How much are I going to afford that? Well, 2006 came, and as I said, 67,000 signatures. I do not have the moxie to climb that kind of wall. Not at all. When I got the 32,000 signatures, 33,000 signatures in 2002, that was the most difficult task I ever undertook in my entire life. It was tough, because we got to this time of the year, and we still needed about 20,000 signatures. So, oh, God, what are we going to do? Well, we knuckled under and we got it, and that's a story in and of itself. But all that time, I spent getting signatures, and I couldn't campaign. In the end, I was glad in 2006 that I didn't try, because there was one guy who did try, Carl Romanelli. He collected 98,000 signatures. He was back there with Guy. That's how many signatures he got. Nobody in Pennsylvania history has ever collected more. Peg Luxick in 1998, she collected 78,000 signatures. She was the previous record holder. Carl thought, 98,000 signatures, I'm home free. The Democrats had the software, they had the legal precedents, they had the lawyers. They said, Carl, come into court. They did the same trick. Oh, you signed where you should print it where you should sign, no ditto marks, all this other stuff. Threw Carl off the ballot and fined him $80,000. A retired railroad engineer, just a citizen legislator, you know, a regular guy. $80,000 fine. I tell this to people and they say, what? In Pennsylvania? You know, I called Amnesty International and I said, help! I've heard one. I'm a ballot access laws here in Pennsylvania. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, we don't do United States stuff. Thanks a lot. 2004, $80,000 fine. 2006, $80,000 fine. 2008, Bob Barr, Libertarian presidential candidate. He got challenged too by guess who? Anything guess? Correct. Victor Stabile, a little quiet nobody from Cumberland County at the time who was looking to make a name for himself. He said, I'm going to challenge this guy. Challenge him on the basis that we had a substitute candidate. Part of the law, part of the election law, we nominate somebody at our state convention because it's before our national convention. He's a stand-in. This guy's name is Burley Etzel. Burley's name is on all the petitions. When we hold our national convention in the summer, we pick our candidate, who happened to be Bob Barr. We do a substitution, all according to the legislation. Well, Mr. Stabile said, nah, that's fraud. Well, it went on, he fought it, and for the first time in 4 years, Bob Barr won. No $80,000 fine for Bob. Woo! 2010 rolls around. People come and say, Ken, you ran for governor, you want to run again? I'm like, oh, dude, I want to stay married, I don't want to lose my house, I don't want to face an $80,000 fine. How am I going to do it? They said, oh, don't worry, they didn't do it last time. Well, we'll see. Well, guess what? They did it. And this time, they weren't just pussyfooting around. They just didn't hit one guy or two guys. Democrats and Republicans challenged every single third-party and independent candidate on the ballot. Every single one. Joe Sestak himself personally signed the papers to kick one person off the ballot. And it wasn't $80,000 this time. It was more. Inflation, you know? I have here a letter from the Republican who challenged our Libertarian candidates. It's intimidation, economic intimidation beyond belief. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
You guys are glutts for punishment. I'm telling you. This is not a pretty story. Very polite. It's to our party chair. Mr. Chair, following up on our conversation earlier this evening, I do not have an exact figure on what our costs will be if this signature count continues and my clients are required to complete the review and move forward with the hearing. However, a rough estimate would be $92,255 to $106,455, which would include costs such as legal fees, travel and lodging, compensable time for reviewers and support staff, process servers, fees and expenses, hearing preparation, lay and expert witnesses, fees and costs, photocopies, meals, legal research, conference calls, and the like. These costs are comparable to the costs awarded in recent years by a Commonwealth Court in similar nomination paper challenges, including the nomination papers of Nader, in renomination papers of Romanelli, which, as you know, were assessed not only against the candidates, but against their attorneys. Please let me know if you need any further information in order to discuss with your clients a withdrawal of their candidacy for governor, lieutenant governor, and United States senator. As I stated, the sooner that your clients agree to withdraw, the more likely my clients will agree not to pursue recovery of all their costs incurred in pursuing this matter. Best regards, so-and-so, so-and-so, Esquire. Economic extortion. Get out of the room, or we're going to take away your house. I know these candidates. Our U.S. Senate guy's a coal miner from the western part of the state. Just a regular guy who wants to improve his government. Our candidate for governor, pretty nice guy. Lieutenant governor candidate, a woman, lives, excuse me, not too far away from me. Pretty girl, too. She's got kids, she homeschools her own kids. They're going to take away her house if she stays on the ballot. But you can guess what everybody did? They caved in. And I can't blame them. I did it before it started. I said, I can't do this. I'll lose my house. My wife will divorce me. This is what's going on in Pennsylvania. And you know what Victor Stabile said? Quote, I am very pleased to report to you that the challenges to the Green Party, Tea Party, and Libertarian Party candidates for statewide office have been successful. And these third-party candidates will not be appearing on the November ballot. Told you I was going to ruin your evening. Is that right?
No.
Is that fair?
No.
that equal?
No. Is it punishable by crime? Isn't that a crime?
Courts don't say so. And I'll get to that in a minute. Because it gets worse. If anybody wants to go now, I won't be insulted. Then you have to go to the bathroom or something, I don't know. Who's heard of bonus games? Bonus games.
Yeah.
That's where the Pennsylvania legislators were using your money for their political purposes. It came out in, I think it was Vion's trial, or one of them. There's so many that were in trial in the past couple of years. Woo! Get rid of some of those bums. But it came out in one of the trials that one of the legislators was using your money to throw Carl Romanelli off the ballot. You people paid to have Carl fined. We people, me too, my money too, to have Carl fined $80,000 when you're done. Carl, when he heard that, he said, I'm not going to have to pay the fine. This is illegal. They broke the law. Carl went right to the court, and Carl said, throw it out. You can throw it out. The judge looked at him and said, no, I'm not going to throw it out. No, you were thrown off the ballot. You had the names flipped around and ditto marks and all that. No, it was okay. But he used taxpayer dollars. Well, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Taxpayer dollars are incidental. You still have to pay the $80,000 fine, Carl. Well, Carl and I got together, along with Mara Kay Rogers, a woman from the Green Party, along with people from the Reform Party, people from the Ralph Nader campaign, and a few others, and we made a federal case out of it, as the cliche goes. We took it to court to have Pennsylvania ballot access laws declared unconstitutional because the guy in the back of the room is not equal to this. Simple question. Does that equal the big, long chain? The federal judge assigned to the case was the same one who made the intelligent design decision. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
And we thought, an intelligent guy, you know? He's a guy who's willing to step outside the box. Maybe he's going to do some intelligent design when it comes to ballot access. But he looked at the arguments, shook his head and says, no, it's equal. 67,000, that equals 2,000. We appealed it to the Third Circuit in Philadelphia. Panel of 7 judges in their black dresses stood there, looked at it, and said, no, judge was right. 67,000 does equal 2,000. Of course, we went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court came to convene in September. They looked at their docket, looked at ours, let it stand. That is the state of ballot access in Pennsylvania right now. It's horrendous. People are asking me, Ken, you're going to run in 2014? I'm like, dude. My wife and I just celebrated our 34th wedding anniversary. I want to see 35 and 36. And you know what? Just this quick aside. Our kids pick on us. This doesn't matter with you guys. All of our friends' parents, they're divorced, second marriages, separated. What's the matter with you? But, as I say, I digress. It's bad. Very bad in Pennsylvania. Can't get on the ballot. Finding people. Cleaning the slate of candidates. As I said, no third-party candidates at all. No independents on a statewide ballot, 2010. 2012, I'm not running. What do we do? Pack up and go home? The one gentleman suggested that we drill a new hole. Ha! You start drilling a new hole, they're going to stuff you down in that hole and cap it over. There's capping and no trading. Easy thing to do is to fight. This gentleman before, God bless you, sir. You know, I sit here listening to you think, wow, sounds like me. You got to get up and do something. I always think of the mantra of the grassroots activist. It's easy to remember. 10 words, 2 letters each. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. So what I did is I said, I'm going to do something about this. I'm not going to crawl in a hole. I'm not going to go away. So a couple years ago, a bunch of us got together. Started with a guy in the Green Party. He came to me and said, Ken, we've got to do something. I was like, dude, you're telling me we got to do something. What we did is we formed the Pennsylvania Ballot Access Coalition. We went to members of all the third parties and all the independents in Pennsylvania and said, we've got a problem. And we agreed. So what we did is we, just like this, rented a hotel room. We all came together for one time. Imagine that meeting. You've got libertarians, Greens, Reform, Naderites, Communists, Socialists, Prohibitionists. You should have seen it. The Prohibitionists come in and look at, it's them Libertarians. And we're over there, oh man, it's Prohibitionists. Because our platforms are antithetical to each other. They're over here, we're over there. But we agree on one thing: fair ballot access. It's something nobody can really disagree with, except maybe Democrats and Republicans. We don't have any Democrats and Republicans in our coalition, and we tried to get them in. So we formed our coalition, and we sat down, and we drafted our own legislation. We called it the Voters' Choice Act. We put it together. We tried to do other things. We were talking about opening up the primary system. We talked about proportional voting, well, all sorts of other things, many dozens actually of changes to the ballot access laws. But when you have a group of people like that, prohibitionists, libertarians, Greens, and independents, even Russ Diamond was a part of it. I worked on Russ Diamond's campaign, by the way. Great man, Russ Diamond. And he's a Toastmaster, I gotta add. But we all got together, and we could not agree on anything else except fair ballot access to reduce the number of signatures. So we come up with our Voters' Choice Act, and it does three things. Thing number one is it reduces those signatures. In the case of an independent candidate, it makes them, what's the word?
Equal.
Equal. Makes it equal. If you're a third party, like for example, Libertarians or the Greens or the Constitution Party, Reform Party, something like that, what we've done is something a little bit different. In order to foster the growth of third parties and make it easier to drill new wells without having it capped over, is we have, as part of our Voters' Choice Act, part that makes it easier to form a new party. Specifically, if you have 1/20th of 1% of the electorate registered with your party, that comes out to about 4,200 voters in Pennsylvania. If you have about 4,200 voters registered in your party, you can nominate directly onto the ballot according to your party rules, but at your own expense. That's what Delaware does. We call it the Delaware model. Delaware's had it now for many years, and it works. They have vibrant third-party system there, three parties, makes it easier to drill the holes, to start new parties, makes it easier for new ideas to come into the political mainstream. We want to do that here in Pennsylvania. So those are the changes. Easier to form a party by getting 4,200 people registered. Easier to get on the ballot. If you're in the party, you nominate at your own expense. And it makes it easier for independents to get on the ballot by making it equal. That's what the Voters' Choice Act did. With that in hand, we went to the legislature and we said, let's find ourselves some sponsors. And you know what? We found some. There are some bright-thinking men and women in the legislature. And one of them, again, I could have been up here talking myself, was our good buddy Mike Coleman. He has introduced in the Senate this year, Senate Bill 21, the Voters' Choice Act, which is, and it blows me away, word for word, the way that we wrote it back in 2004 when we formed our coalition. It's right now in State Government Committee. We're moving it out as soon as we can. We are about to make our big push. We're putting together a training video this month. We've got elected officials helping us do this. We have our volunteers helping to do this. To tell people how to go to their state senators and state representatives and lobby for their support. We've made a list. We're checking it twice. Mike Coleman tells us as soon as we're ready, he'll call for hearings. So right now we're checking the pulse of those in the State Government Committee to find out how many of them support the bill. And if they don't, well, we'll start working on it. So one of the reasons I'm here tonight is to ask for your help. If you believe that equal means equal, that fair ballot access should be something Pennsylvania strives for, I have with me just a sign-up list. I'll put it on the back table when I'm done here. If you put on there your name, email if you do such things, phone number if you do that, just so we can have some help. It may involve you just giving a call to your legislator, excuse me, stopping in to pay a visit, come into Harrisburg, stuffing some envelopes maybe, whatever it is you feel like doing. I won't ask you to do a whole lot, it's whatever you would like to do, because it's not so much that you do lots for liberty, it's more that you do anything for liberty. I'd like you to become a member of our Ballot Access Coalition, help change things in Pennsylvania. So maybe I could run again. Maybe you could run without getting your poll capped over. And when the Tea Party or the Green Party or the Libertarian Party or whatever party it is down the pike sees some atrocity going on in government, they don't have to climb a huge wall like poor Russ Diamond had to do. Russ just managed to toss a few people over the wall. But rather make it easier to form a third party as Abraham Lincoln formed a third party over 100 years ago, 150 years ago now, when they formed the Republican Party to fight slavery. What we're looking to do is to make it easier for anybody to form a party, to fight whatever it is that they think is important. So that's it. That's the Voters' Choice Act. That's the nature of my apology to you. I'm working toward that. Since my race in 2002, it is all I've been doing. Because as I said, I want to stay married. And let me close on the words from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song. When you look at ballot access laws in Pennsylvania, in a land that's known for freedom, how can such a thing be fair? Thank you for your attention. I'll take any questions.